My name's Harry, and I'm one of the Dungeon Masters for Blackwood D&D Winterfest again in 2025. If I was smart, I'd have written one-shot adventures to reuse all the miniatures I painted last year. And I fully intended to. But I didn't. This is the second video in my Winterfest 2025 painting series of miniatures for this year's Winterfest D&D adventures, both for my games and a few miniatures for friends. The subject in the pen today is this guy, Reaper Bones Boar Demon 77308. He's a brute and a beauty. Stick with me to see how he turns out. In case you don't know about Blackwood D&D Winterfest, it's a 2-day Dungeons & Dragons event held in Bridgetown, Western Australia. Several hundred people attend, and each of the 5 play sessions over the weekend run games on more than 20 tables. That takes a lot of DMs, and I'm happy to be back running games again this year. But because I wasn't smart enough to reuse miniatures from last year, there's some painting to do. That brings us to this guy, Reaper Bones 77308 Boar Demon. As you can see from the packaging, he's a multi-part figure, but he goes together easily enough with a little mould line cleanup and some super glue. The sculpt has wings, so I guess some pigs can fly, plus some wicked tusks and a great pose, ready to swipe an attacking adventurer with a mighty clawed fist. To be honest, this figure is bigger than I was expecting when I ordered it online. He stands 10 centimetres or just over 4 inches tall, from base to the top of his wingtips. He's going to tower over any adventurer minis when I put him on the tabletop. After assembly, my first step is always a quick wash in warm water and some dish soap. This used to be required to remove mould release agent. That's less of a problem these days, but it does remove finger grease and sanding dust, leaving a clean surface for the primer to adhere to. The primer I've used is Vallejo Black Surface Primer. This sticks to the plastic well and gives a solid base for acrylic paints. The coverage doesn't show any brush marks, and the uniform black shows all the details clearly. Then I started blocking in the base colours. Vallejo 70.872 chocolate brown for the dark fur, and Citadel Mornfang brown for the exposed skin. These colours are both darker than where I want to end up, and I'm adding even more depth in shadows with some Agrax Earthshade wash. You can see the wash on his face here is still shiny and wet, but elsewhere it has dried. This is usually the point where I think I've ruined the paint job, but now we do some dry brushing. If you're not aware, dry brushing is a technique to emphasize highlights by using a wide brush, wiping most of the paint off, then rubbing it on the surface of the mini. This should just paint the raised lines and details, creating highlights that mimic light falling onto the colour beneath it. You can see this technique is bringing out the detail on the road wheels of this 15mm T-34 tank from Battlefront Miniatures. It's going to do the same for our Boar Demon. The dry brush has brought out the definition of the skin contours and the fur on our demon. In this case, I dry brushed both the skin and fur with Citadel XV88, a lighter brown. Using the same highlight colour on both ties the skin and fur together, but they're still obviously different shades of brown. You can go heavier or lighter with the dry brushing. I've gone fairly light here, and that's best to start with. You can always add more definition by dry brushing more later. It's harder to go back the other way. The skin and fur now have the dark base colours, some darker shadow in recesses from the wash, and now some lighter highlights from the dry brush. Keep in mind that in play, your miniature will be viewed from about a metre away on the table. Sometimes the paint job techniques for miniatures can look overemphasised up close, but work to show the detail clearly where it counts, at table range. I've also started the detail work, with his tusks, piggy little red eyes, golden rings, and an armoured gauntlet. There's still a way to go, but you get the idea. So I hope you've enjoyed the tale of this boar. This is where we started, a blister full of parts and a nice, washed, pure white miniature. Where did we end up? Here. As you can see, there's plenty of nice detail to pick out. The gems on the gauntlet, rings on his tusk, as well as the muscle definition on his skin and texture of the fur. The pose is aggressive and threatening, and his facial expression doesn't look happy. He should be a terrifying opponent for any adventurer who comes across him. He's bristling with menace. I also love the wings, and intend to make many jokes about flying pigs during play. He'll be able to drop in and spring a devastating ambush unexpectedly. The mini was also pretty cheap, so you won't be baking the piggy bank if you want one for yourself. I hope you've enjoyed this look at my Boar Demon for Winterfest 2025. Apart from the terrible pig puns anyway. I'll trot her off now, but the next video I promise I'll bring the heat with this Reaper Fire Demon paint job. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.